At A Winning Personality, we talk about success and what that means in life and the psychology behind what makes someone successful versus perhaps not so successful. This week, I want to talk to you a little bit about gaming psychology. Now, whether you're designing online games or even offline games, or whether you're playing them, there are 3 psychological techniques that persuasive games do really well that are good for you to know about if you're playing them, so that you can see what kind of forces are going on. The first technique that good games have in place is this concept of variable ratio reinforcement. Now, this is basically kind of like when you go to a gambling place, say for instance a casino, and you've got the long-arm bandits, and you basically know that if you play for long enough and you put enough money in, you'll win something at some point. But you don't know when you'll win, and you don't know how big the reward will be. Now, research way back when actually started out doing this kind of experiment on rats, but the reinforcement tool, the reward, was food. And they found that the biggest response rate from the rats when they would press the lever the most would be when they didn't know when they were getting the food or how much food they would get. And it's the same in gaming. If you can give people rewards at specific times in the game, but they're not sure when they're going to come, so they seem random, that will get people to play for longer. So think about your favourite games and the way that you strategize your gaming online. Does this psychological technique influence the way that you behave? And how could you maybe become more aware of this and when it's happening to decide whether you really like the game or whether it's something that's just pushing that button? The second psychological technique that is often used in persuasive gaming is immersion. And for this to happen, for you to feel like you're present and completely immersed in this game, you need to have several things in place. One of them is to have complete, exciting sensory information. So not just the visual stuff that people are seeing, but what are they hearing? What are they feeling if they're playing on a console? Who are the other players involved? Is it a cognitively demanding environment? Does it challenge people to really up their game? And also, is there a strong and interactive narrative? What's the plot? Whether you're playing poker against other people or you're playing a role game, there's got to be some kind of narrative arc or some kind of element of story to make that environment really immersive. The third and final technique I'd like to mention to you is the endowed progress effect. Now, how many of you know about coffee loyalty cards? So you go to your local coffee place and they give you a card. Now, if I gave you a card that had 8 little loyalty stickers that you had to fill in, but none of them were filled in when I gave it to you, that would mean that you have to buy 8 coffees to get a reward. What about if I gave you a card that had 10 loyalty spots to fill in, but I already gave it to you with 2 already completed? Well, research has shown that if you give people the same number of things to do, so in this case there's 8, whether you're the person in the first or the second condition, if I've already given you a couple of steps towards getting that goal, then you're already more likely to strive for longer and strive for harder to complete that task because I've already helped you on your way. You've already got that sense of achievement, even in a very small respect. So when you're playing games or when you're designing games, think about how you can use that to maybe help people to complete tasks. Hope you've enjoyed this very brief video and that you start to think about how some of the psychological tricks and techniques are going on in games and what you can do to make the most of those and to judge more sort of smartly when you're going to be making specific choices, either based on those influences or based on knowing that they're happening and then making a conscious choice. See you next time.